What's up everybody, welcome back to another Unreal Engine 4 video. So it's been a while, but I'm back and I've got a few cool things to show you guys. So we're going to focus on animations and we're going to use Blender and Mr. Mannequin Tools 1.4. So in this video we're going to limit ourselves to using Blender, and I'm going to show you how to rig a model or a gun. So you can animate it and you can use models of your own, or if you downloaded a model that's not rigged, you can do it in Blender. So you can animate it, and I'm going to show you how to. So this is the default first-person project and I've added a few weapons to it. So in the games launcher, this is a free pack, you can download it and you can join along if you would like to. So let's pick a weapon over here. Let's do the pistol, and this is rigged already, so I'm gonna need a static mesh. So let's make a static mesh out of this and let's save it. And we should be good to go over here. So we have our pistol, it doesn't have any bones anymore, it's just a static mesh. We're going to export this, so right click, asset actions, and export it. So static mesh pistol, that's fine. We don't need to change any of the export settings. Default settings will do just fine, so export it. Let's open Blender. Now first thing we need to do is get rid of all this stuff. We don't need it. I don't know why it's there. It's pretty useless like 99% of the time, but whatever. So delete all of that stuff. First thing you want to do in Blender when you make anything for Unreal Engine is set the unit scale. So in the scene properties over here, go to units, set the unit scale to 0.01 and make sure length is set to meters. So that way you match with Unreal Engine and you're not going to get any scaling issues or stuff like that. So let's import our pistol, import FBX. Let's see, it should be over here, the pistol. Now we don't really need to change any of these settings either, but I'm gonna deselect animation. I don't need it, it's not in there, so let's get rid of it. And there we have our pistol. Now the first thing we need to do is zero this out. So I'm gonna select the mesh and I'm gonna move it. So it's going to be something like this. And you see this little dot over here, that's the origin of the mesh, and we want to change it so it's at the 0, 0, 0 position, so everything is zeroed out. So let's make sure we have our mesh selected, right click, and it should say set origin. I don't know why it doesn't. We had a little weird thing selected, so make sure you have the mesh selected, set origin, and set the origin to the 3D cursor. So it snapped the little dot to the 3D cursor and that should be fine. Now we need to add an armature to this, so add armature, and it's going to add bones. Now the first thing you want to do is rename this armature to root. Just like this. That's going to be the root bone. You don't want to rename this bone, that's going to be just armature, that's fine, and this is the first bone that's actually in there. So let's enable X-ray view so we can see the bone. Now you could also go to the skeleton settings over here in the viewport display and you can display the bones in front. So that way you can see them through the mesh even with X-ray disabled, so that's a nice little feature as well. Now select the armature and we are going to go to the edit mode. I'm going to select the head of the bone and I'm going to move it. So if I hold Control, it's going to snap it to the grid, and make sure it's facing the -y axis. So you don't want to rotate the bone, you want to move the head of the bone, so there's no rotations in the bone. Everything is zeroed out and it's pointing -y forward. Now if we select this bone, we can move it into the correct position. So this is going to be like the main body of the gun. So let's just move it somewhere to the center, I guess. I don't know what the center of this model is, but let's just move it over here. That's fine. That should do. Now, if we have this bone selected and press E on the keyboard, we can extrude a new bone. So hold Ctrl to snap it to the grid. Make it roughly the same size. It doesn't really matter, but it just looks better. So I'm going to expand the properties over here. Let's select the first bone and make sure everything is zeroed out. So we don't want any roll added to it. So zero that out. Select the other bone as well and zero out the roll. So that's good to go. Now with the second bone selected, right click, and we're going to parent and clear, disconnect the bone. And now we can move it around. It's still connected, but it doesn't change the orientation of this bone, so that's what we want. We are going to use this for the slide, so let's move it into a position where we can use it to animate the slide, so it can move in the proper directions. We don't need to be able to rotate it, so it's not really that important for this bone. Now let's rename those first bones to keep things organized. So I'm gonna call the first bone the pistol main bone, and let's call this pistol slide. Now select the first bone again, press E to extrude a new bone, and if you hold Ctrl, snap it. So let's make it about the same size. Let's use this for the hammer. So again, select the bone, right click, parent, clear, disconnect the bone, and move this into the correct position. Now Blender is using like bones that have length to them. I used to work with Maya a little bit, and it just uses dots for bones, so this is a little bit weird. But this is the tail of the bone, and this is the head of the bone. The position of the tail is actually where the bone is going to be, like in Unreal Engine 4. So if you rotate the bone, this is going to be the pivot point, and it's not going to pivot around the tail of the bone and not around the head. So make sure when you place bones that need rotation that you put the tail in the correct position. So something like this should do fine, I guess. Now I'm gonna add another bone for the magazine. So select the main bone again, press E, hold Ctrl to extrude a new bone. Select this new bone, right click, parent, clear, disconnect, like we did a few times before. And I'm gonna move it to a position where I can use it to animate the clip. So maybe you want to put it at the bottom of the clip, or you want to put it in the center. It's whatever you prefer, but in this case, it doesn't really matter. It's just for showing you guys, so I'm going to put it over here. Now, if we look at this model, it also has 2 bullets in the clip. So we might want to add bones for that as well. But in this case, you want to make sure they are parented to the clip or the magazine bone. So the bullets move along with the magazine. So if we make sure we have the magazine bone selected and then press E, we're going to extrude another bone from that one. Select it, right click, parent, clear, and disconnect it again. Let's move it a bit out of the way and make one for the second bullet as well. So clip bone selected, press E, hold Ctrl, extrude the bone, select it, parent, clear, and disconnect. Let's move those into position as well. So one for the lower bullet, one for the upper bullet. And now we could also add a bone for the muzzle flash and possibly for shell ejects if you would like to. So you can make this as complicated as you want. I'm gonna limit myself to a muzzle flash bone because that should be fine for the purpose of this video. So with the main bone selected again, press E to extrude a new bone, hold Ctrl to snap it. Select the new bone, right click, parent, clear the parent and disconnect the bone. Now let's move this to the point of the barrel. So again, the tail of the bone is where the muzzle flash is going to be, not the head of the bone, so this should work fine. Now all we need to do is rename all of those bones again. So let's see, this was the pistol hammer bone. This was the magazine Then we have 2 bullets. Oh. Let's keep this nice and clean. And we have a muzzle flash. So we have added our armature. Now how are we going to parent this to the mesh? We are going to go back to the object mode. Now make sure first you select your mesh, then shift select your armature, right click and go to parent. Parent with automatic weights, just like this. Now if we are going to check this out, this is not going to work. So if we go to pose mode and we are going to animate our slide bone, it's gonna stretch everything and it's gonna look messy and weird, so we need to fix this. In the object mode, select your mesh and go to the mesh edit mode. Now when we parented it, it created vertex groups for us, and we need to make sure the correct vertices are weighted to the correct bones. So first we need to clear everything to make things a little bit easier. So select the pistol main vertex group over here. Click the little select button and it's going to select all of the vertices that are weighted against this bone. So it weighted a little bit of this bullet, but not much else, so this is useless. So we're going to remove this. Now if we deselect everything and click select again, you'll see it's gone. So that's what we want. We're going to do this for all of the vertex groups to start with. So the pistol slide, select, remove, deselect everything, hammer, select, remove, deselect, and work your way down the list. Now none of these bones have vertices weighted against it, and we can set it up the way we want to. So let's disable X-ray view. So if we select our slide vertex group over here, let's click the select button. Nothing is weighted against it, so we're going to select what we want. If you hover over a part of your model and you press L on your keyboard, it's going to select that part of the model, so it makes things a little bit easier. So we want to add all of this stuff to the slide bones. Let's go to the faces. That makes things selecting a little bit easier. So this is going to be added to the slide bone. This belongs to the slide as well. And I think we should be good to go. Now with all of this selected, we're going to press assign over here. And we now weighted the vertices against the bone, so we are good to go. I'm going to hide this to make things a little bit easier. So press H on your keyboard. And we are left with all of the stuff we need to assign. Now we missed a little part of the slide over here, but that's no biggie. We still have the slide selected, so just hold L, hover over the part of the model and also assign that and hide it. Now next up, let's do the hammer. So select the hammer vertex group over here and let's add all of the vertices that we want. So that's the hammer. Assign them and let's hide them. So that's out of the way as well. Now to clear things up a little bit, I'm going to do the main and I'm going to get rid of all of these big pieces. So obviously you could animate the trigger separately if you made a bone for that and things like that, but we're not going to go into this too deep. So let's assign all of this stuff and let's hide it. So all we have left is the clip and the bullets, or the magazine, I'm sorry. So we're going to select the magazine first. Let's press L. Looks like that's fine as well. So assign it, hide it. And let's do the bullets. Assign and assign the second bullet as well. Now we have the muzzle flash bone that's left, and we don't need to assign or weight any vertices against it because it's just for showing the particles. So this should be good to go. If we press Alt and H at the same time, we're gonna show everything that's hidden. And let's check this out in pose mode. So select your armature, go to pose mode, and now if we move the slide bone, everything is working fine. Only the vertices that we assign to it are moving. And we could, for example, rotate the hammer. And things are working the way we set it up. So that's cool. We can use this to make animations in Blender now, and we can also export it back to Unreal to verify everything is working. So let's go back to object mode, and let's save this blend file first. I'm gonna call this pistol and save it. Now select your mesh and shift select your armature. Let's go to File, Export, Export FBX, and let's see, put it in the correct folder, obviously. So I'm gonna call this skeletal mesh pistol. We do need to change a few things over here, so I'm gonna limit this to the selected objects, and I'm gonna shift select the armature and the mesh. Transform, that's fine. Geometry, you want to set the smoothing to face, so you don't get any smoothing group errors. For the armature, you don't want to export leaf bones, so that's deselect that one. And I'm gonna deselect animations because we are not animating this, so let's not put things in there we don't want. Export it, and we can use this in Unreal Engine now. I think no, I didn't forget anything. So let's see, Unreal Engine. And we're gonna import our skeletal mesh. Let's just drag it in. So default settings are fine. I'm just gonna say do not create materials because those are already in here. Let's import this, and there we have our skeletal mesh pistol. So open this up. As you can see, it has the armature that we added. It has a root bone. It has all of the other bones we added. It has a bone for the muzzle flash, and everything is weighted properly. So if we move things around, it's working the way we expected. There we go. And you can also see that the scaling and everything is still correct. If we drop in the skeletal mesh, we drop in the static mesh, and let's drop in the original one as well. So all three of them look exactly the same. So there you have it. That's how you rig your gun, or any model for that matter. So I hope that's been helpful, and I hope you guys enjoyed. In the next few videos we're gonna get a little bit deeper into it, but this is it for now. So thanks for watching, guys. Later.